What if some of the most motivating phrases you've heard at work was never designed to help you succeed, but to make you work harder? Think about it. How many times have you heard, "We're a family here. We need team players. Go the extra mile. Show commitment." At first, these phrases sound positive, inspiring, even noble. But what if I told you that some companies use these exact words to convince employees to give more time, more energy, and more loyalty than they're actually receiving in return? Because here's the uncomfortable truth: the most effective workplace pressure doesn't come from threats, it comes from language. Words that make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. Words that make overwork feel like dedication. Words that make exploitation feel like opportunity. And the most dangerous part? Most employees never realize it's happening. Today, we're exposing 6 phrases companies use to make people work harder and the hidden psychology behind them. Stay until the end because the final phrase is so common that millions of employees hear it every week without recognizing what it really means. Before we begin, subscribe for more workplace psychology, office politics, and hidden corporate truths. And comment below, which workplace phrase do you hear the most? Let's uncover what's really being said. Phrase 1. We're a family here. This may be the most famous phrase in modern workplaces. And on the surface, it sounds wonderful. Who doesn't want belonging, support, connection? But here's the problem: families and companies are not the same thing. Families usually support you during difficult times. Companies measure performance. Families don't replace you because quarterly numbers drop. Companies sometimes do. The phrase "we're a family" often creates emotional obligation. Employees start feeling guilty for saying no, guilty for taking vacations, guilty for setting boundaries, guilty for leaving. Because suddenly, work isn't work anymore. It's family, and family is supposed to come first. The phrase feels warm, but the psychology behind it often encourages loyalty that isn't always reciprocated. Phrase 2. We need team players now. Don't misunderstand. Being a team player is valuable. Every successful organization needs cooperation. But notice when this phrase appears. Often, it's used right before extra work gets assigned, right before overtime, right before responsibilities nobody wants. The hidden message sometimes becomes, good employees sacrifice more. The problem is that team player can quietly become code for always available, always flexible, always willing to carry extra weight. And over time, the people who say yes the most become the people carrying everyone else's workload. Phrase 3. Go the extra mile. This phrase sounds motivational until you realize something. The extra mile has no finish line. The moment extra effort becomes expected, it stops being extra. Many employees spend in years trying to prove themselves by constantly exceeding expectations. They stay late, take extra assignments, solve problems outside their role, and eventually they discover something painful. The reward for going the extra mile is often another extra mile, because organizations naturally adjust to whatever becomes normal. What was once exceptional becomes expected. If this video is opening your eyes, subscribe now. Every week, we uncover the hidden psychology behind workplace culture, office politics, promotions, and career growth. And if you've ever been pressured into working harder through guilt, loyalty, or manipulation, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You may help them recognize a pattern they've never noticed before. Verse 4. Show commitment. Commitment is important, but commitment without limits becomes exploitation. Notice how vague this phrase can be. What does commitment actually mean? Working weekends? Skipping vacations? Answering emails at midnight? Giving up personal time? The ambiguity is the point, because once commitment becomes emotional rather than measurable, employees start competing to prove it. And suddenly the person with the healthiest boundaries appears less committed than the person burning themselves out. That's a dangerous game, because burnout often looks like commitment right before it becomes exhaustion. Phrase 5. This is a great opportunity. Sometimes it truly is, but not always. Many employees hear this phrase and immediately think promotion, growth, recognition, visibility. Then they discover the opportunity is simply more work, more responsibility, more pressure. Without additional compensation, without additional authority, without additional support. The phrase creates optimism, and optimism lowers resistance. People accept burdens they would normally question because they're focused on the promise rather than the reality. Phrase 6, take ownership. This phrase has become extremely popular in corporate culture. And again, there is value in ownership. Responsible people take ownership of their work. But sometimes, ownership quietly expands beyond your actual role. Suddenly, you're responsible for problems you didn't create, deadlines you didn't control, projects you didn't design, failures caused by entire teams. The phrase sounds empowering, but in some workplaces, ownership becomes a way of transferring responsibility downward, while accountability remains upward. The employee carries the pressure, leadership keeps the power, and that's where ownership turns into a trap. The bigger lesson now here's something important. Not every company uses these phrases manipulatively. Not every manager has bad intentions. Not every workplace is toxic. The issue isn't the phrase itself. The issue is how it's used. Healthy organizations use these ideas to build trust. Unhealthy organizations use them to create guilt. The same words can have completely different meanings depending on the culture behind them. That's why awareness matters. Because once you understand the psychology behind the language, you stop reacting automatically. You start evaluating what people actually mean. If you've made it this far, subscribe now for more workplace psychology, career growth, leadership insights, and hidden corporate truths. And share this video with a friend, coworker, or family member who constantly feels pressured to do more, give more, and sacrifice more at work. This information could save them years of frustration. How? To protect yourself. The solution isn't becoming cynical. The solution is becoming aware. When you hear phrases like, we're family, show commitment, go the extra mile, pause, ask questions. What exactly is being requested? What exactly is being offered? What exactly is expected? The more specific the conversation becomes, the harder it is for manipulation to hide behind vague language. Healthy workplaces welcome clarity. Manipulative workplaces often avoid it. Think about this. How many decisions in your career were influenced by words? Words about loyalty, words about opportunity, words about commitment, words about culture, words that sounded positive, but slowly convinced you to give more than you received. That's why understanding workplace psychology is so powerful. Because once you recognize the language, you begin to recognize the game. And once you recognize the game, you stop playing by rules that only benefit someone else. If this video helped you see workplace culture differently, subscribe for more insights into office politics, leadership psychology, workplace manipulation, and career success. Share this video with someone who always says yes, always works late, and always puts work before themselves. They may need this message more than they realize. And now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 6 phrases do you hear most often at work? Tell us in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share, and remember, the most powerful workplace pressure isn't always a command. Sometimes it's simply a phrase you've heard so many times that you've stopped questioning what it really means. See you in the next video.